I'm ChosenArchitect, and this is the Stoneopolis mod pack. Now, over the last few episodes, jumping back into some more Stoneopolis, we have been working on all kinds of things, all the way from blood magic, all the way to how we sieve things, and also set up power, and now we've gotten access to a much better storage system outside of, well, functional storage drawers. But well, we're still missing a few things, like diamonds, and also more of the mods as we progress on. So today, we're going to be diving into some more industrial foregoing, and doing something that I've honestly never set up before, believe it or not. And that new thing is the fluid sieving setup. I've actually never processed ores with the fluid sieves. And also, while we're doing this, try not to think about it all that much, because we are going to be taking animals, we are going to be crushing them, and then we're going to also be using their fluids, to sort of sift through ore. Like I said, just don't think about it too hard. So jumping in the quest, it looks like we're going to be making ourselves a dissolution chamber, and this is going to give us access to making more complex machine frames, such as our simple machine frame right here. And the dissolution chamber is a very simple machine, so we should go ahead and get this crafted up. Now remember, all of these machines are quite expensive, but I have been prepping up several materials here, including a ton of bronze gears, more than what you see here, and I have those all prepped up because each one of these frames are going to cost 2 gearboxes. Now, I think at this point, my limiting factor is not the bronze, it's actually the treated wood. And so I've just kind of had to go back and forth, making sure that I was constantly crafting treated wood. Now, thankfully, the dissolution chamber is quite a simple machine. It has an input and output, and then it also has sort of a circular slot that we're going to have to work with. And I'm going to place this over here for now. You can see we have this interesting crafting UI. So we place items in the side, and we can lock those inputs once we get them in place. And then it also takes a fluid and a power. And then it also has an output slot for fluids and also an output slot for items. Now, the output slot for fluids is because some crafts, believe it or not, will give you water and such. Now, looking at these recipes, oh boy, do they start to get more and more expensive. Now, for right now, I'm going to place this in the back. This is just a container full of latex, and we're going to need latex for our crafts. So I can basically tell this machine, hey, how about we pull the fluids from the back? So that should start to fill with latex. And that's exactly what I want. And then I'm going to go ahead and place down my barrels. And this is going to give me the ability to automate them. I don't know why I keep placing that back here, but there we go. Perfect. So what I need to do initially is I just need to place in these items. And now what's crazy is this is a gearbox. These are the things that are kind of expensive. And then this also requires another gearbox. So 3 gearboxes per simple machine frame for each of these crafts. So yes, things are getting a bit more expensive, but as soon as I get this in place, you can see it's processing. I just need to lock it, and then I can put all of the ingredients for this over here. And then I just need to basically say, hey, how about you pull from this side? And then for the output, we can leave it right here, or we can have the output automatically push to the barrel over here. And now we should have the 3 that we're going to need at least to get started, because we're definitely going to need more of them, but we get a nice one as a reward. But we need this to make an animal feeder. So an animal feeder is going to cost a few little ingredients that we definitely have at this point, and also a few ingredients here with some wheat. And this leads me to try and figure out what mob we probably want to start farming. We can farm pigs, which I'd prefer not to do, but we can also farm cows, which that one seems a little bit better. The only problem being, I don't have access to leather just yet, but I think I know a way to get it. And the way that we should be able to get started with cows and get our first leather that allow us to summon it is by summoning some rabbits first. Yes, apparently this is the way that we can do this, is we can take out some rabbits and we get ourselves some rabbit hide. Now, I think this is also going to include a little bit of Farmer's Delight as well to make sure we maximize our output, because cows don't always drop rabbit hide. But if we use a Farmer's Delight knife, that should work. So let's do some Farmer's Delight, and let's see, we can at least make an iron one just to give us a little bit more damage. But as soon as we turn this into actual leather, we can summon a cow. And now by taking this cow out, there's a chance that it can drop leather. Well, this, I think sword guarantees it, but there's a chance it can actually drop more than one. And so we can just keep rinsing and repeating this process until, well, we've duplicated a few cows, just like that. So now after chomping away at several of those guys, I now have a bit more leather and a lot of beef, as you can see in here. And yeah, my knife is nearly gone. Now, while you could, for example, use like skeletons and stuff to infinitely generate, I guess, materials, utilizing the mob slaughter factory, it is going to be a lot quicker to get pink slime if you use some passive mobs. But ultimately, to sustain and automate, we're probably going to need to set this thing up, which is the mob slaughterer and the baby separator and also the animal feeder. So let's go ahead and try and set this up. So what I want, for example, cows to spawn into this block right here. I'm going to use a summoning block. And then over here, I want the baby animals to go there. So this is where a baby animal separator comes into play. And I'm not quite sure which side is which, but we should be able to pull the mobs. And if we display the working area, you can see this right here should take the baby mobs, and I believe it should just automatically output it right here. Now I am going to make this kind of compact, but you can do this with a rather large area. Really for right now though, just having them in a 1x1 space, since I can spawn a bunch of them into that spot, is going to work out quite well. Now I am going to need to feed these mobs, and so that's where an animal feeder is going to come into play. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place the animal feeder right here, and this is where that summoning block is going to be. So now last up is going to be the mob slaughter factory, which is probably the most disturbing part of this whole operation. So this is going to wait till they turn to adults, and then it is going to slaughter them. Thankfully, the mob slaughter factory has that sort of condition, so you don't really have to worry about it annihilating your babies that are going to be in here. Now, I've gotten everything almost together, and what I want to do is I want to make sure these all have power, so I'm getting all the power connected to them. But like I said, you can make this bigger. You, however, have to make upgrades over here for range. That is kind of the only thing that you have to make. But what I've done here is I've got some trapdoors placed in. I placed a piece of glass here just to make it look a little bit nicer. But all of these should work in the single block space that they have allotted to them. So now I guess let's get this party started. I want to get these cows spawned in until they start cramming. So right there. So oh my gosh, at that point, this is kind of where I want it to be at, right where they start cramming. And that's because I can start to put wheat into the animal feeder, and that wheat is then going to summon babies. And then the babies here are going to automatically get sent over here. And that's where we get to put this over here to work. And we're going to slaughter the adults whenever they turn fully grown. And what a video this is. Just all about just babies and cows and slaughtering. And man, this video's totally going to get monetized. So now I do have some wheat over here. And I think to get this automated, I just need to add a node, and I need to add wheat to this particular node. So if I add wheat to this, that gives me another item that I can now pull indefinitely out of the controller. And so by simply connecting this here and then grabbing myself a filter, we should be able to add wheat to this filter as well. And then that should be fine on its own. We put this in, and then we just simply need to connect this to the main system. So just like that, wheat should hopefully start feeding into this. And there we go. So wheat has now made its way in here, and we should hopefully see babies spawning. That is, if this machine is, well, rotated correctly. Oh, and there it goes. Perfect. So it still has to wait for the operation time to happen, as there is a cooldown. However, oddly enough, I don't know if this is working correctly, because it seems like it's also sending the babies back to that area, which it shouldn't be doing. So I think what I might actually do is just drop this down one, and then those babies should get permanently moved over here. Oh no. I think this is actually consuming the babies. Oh, so it is working. I thought I was almost positive this didn't actually consume the baby mobs. But it must have 100% done that. Well, I will say that's just, I guess, an adjustment thing I have to get used to when jumping from version to version. And maybe it was never that way. I just happen to remember it being that way. I'm sorry. I could have swore, though, that it bypassed killing the baby mobs. But, I mean, I guess it works because now we have 2 buckets of pink slime. So now that we have a little bit of this fluid, we can actually start to define our drawers that are going to connect to this. And so we are going to need a drawer specifically for pink slime. So let's go ahead and call that pink slime this front one right here. That is going to be in the face. So we can have that push, and that's going to send out, oh, I guess this is the face. Oh, I'm looking at it the wrong way. I guess it doesn't really matter. We can send it over here. This is going to have to be placed, I guess, to the left then. So then that should push, and now we have ourselves some liquid meat and some pink slime. The really gross topics and really gross fluids with a really gross way of farming the material. So now at this point, the quest book actually wants us to farm up some pink slime in the ball form. And to be able to make this, we have to put the pink slime inside and then also glass panes. And remember when I said the dissolution chamber can have, well, like outputs, like fluid outputs? This is one of them. It's going to give us a little bit of water. Now, as far as the pink slime goes, I don't think we're going to need an awful lot of it, and it does give us a little bit in return here. Now, to be able to make the actual pink slime ingots that we're going to need to craft the machines, and I believe it is for the washing factory. Yeah, we're going to need 2 of those. I don't think we're going to need the pink slime balls for anything other than the sieving machine, which just requires 1. One way to cheese this and make this go a bit faster if we're needing some right away is that we can just go ahead and click bone meal in here. That'll summon a skeleton, and that produces quite a bit more liquid meat. Not as much pink slime, but it will generate pink slime. So if you just summon a bunch of these and just let it chomp away at it, we're going to be gathering quite a bit of this fluid for a while. And this is just a nice thing to have, you know, for the future. So now I've gone ahead and made another dissolution chamber, and the reason is jumping into these machines, they are going to require advanced frames. Now, advanced frames, on top of costing not only 3 of these gearboxes for the simple frames, and this including 1 of them, this is also going to include 2 more. So for each advanced frame, it's going to cost 5 gearboxes each. And so I've made one setup over here to basically always have on it a little bit of latex, and then over here on the other side, I have it set up for the pink slime. This is going to make the initial crafts a whole lot easier. And down the road, if we want to automate this, this is definitely going to be needed as well. So I guess I better get crafting. I know this recipe is going to require 2 of these, I believe. So this is going to get the pink slime that we're going to need in order to craft the washing machine. We also need a meat feeder, by the way, which is an interesting way of always keeping our saturation up, and it utilizes this liquid meat. So if we're not using it right now, we might be able to utilize it in the future for that. There we go. Now we have ourselves the pink slime ingot, and I'm going to start working on gathering way more of this treated wood. So after some significant grinding, I have now basically got, I think, everything ready to go. So I have 2 of these advanced frames. Now I'm going to need, I think, 3, and I'm kind of looking a little bit ahead because I do see that in the next chapter, I'm going to be needing a laser drill. And typically a laser drill is going to be 4 laser drills and 1 ore laser base, and the ore laser base requires an advanced version. So the rest of them I should also have as far as the simple machine frames go. But we're not focused on this task. We're actually focused on the fluid sieving. So I need to get myself a washing factory set up. And then it looks like the process of making diamonds is, well, a tedious task in its own right. Now the quest line wants us to build our first washing station. So this is our first actual step in our entire factory that we're going to be leading into. So I'm going to go ahead and place this down for right now. We're going to have to figure out how to get our fermented or our liquid meat over here in the first place, but I'm sure it's all going to be manual for right now until we have this automated later down the road. Now, essentially what we're going to do with this machine, we're going to give it power. We're going to put our item that is going to be basically processed in here. Now, I've never done this before, but I kind of understand how it works. And then we're going to have our liquid meat, which is going to go in here from our setup over here. And then it's going to output a different type of material. Now, this material is going to come from the raw diamond that it's telling us to go after right now. And we are going to put that in a fermenting station. And the cool part about the fermenting station is it's going to take our 100 millibuckets and it's going to double it. So this is essentially doing a doubling process. So we're going to take our 1 diamond ore and make it into 2, which is pretty nice. And then we're going to take that and it's going to take 100 inside of our fluid sieving machine, which is the next step, with a catalyst, for example, being sand. And then that's going to basically take our 1 ore and turn it into 2. So yes, we are essentially making a industrial foregoing fluid sieving setup to be able to duplicate diamond. However, you're about to see how painful diamond actually is to get in the first place. Oh, and I know you guys really love to see me in pain. So let me show you the pain that I am currently suffering through. So essentially, to be able to make this diamond, right, we need coal. And the only way we can obtain coal at the moment is through mini coal. There is no other method at the moment that we have access to that will grant us coal that I know of. And then our mini coal, the only way we can get mini coal is through charcoal chunks. And that is through a tier 2 altar, which is what we're currently on. Now, I could potentially upgrade to a tier 3 altar, as we do have glowstone, and I can make glowstone caps. But this is the operation right now. So essentially, what I'm doing is I'm going over here, and I am going, okay, I need to summon a mob, and then I need to go ahead and take it out and fill this up with blood. But it doesn't house all that much. And the only way that we can actually increase this is by making capacity upgrades. Well, capacity runes. And then with the capacity runes, we can also make more runes, and we can turn all of those into capacity potentially. The only problem is, to be able to make capacity runes, you have to have a tier 3 altar. So I would assume that at this point, it might be a good idea to get there. And so I think I have found a new use for this room that used to be our storage room. I think this is ultimately going to have to become our altar for our blood magic setup. So I now have successfully moved over my blood magic setup, and I've started to work on the tier 3 part. So by default, the blood altar is tier 1, then we have a surrounding base. This makes it tier 2. And now if I add another base 1 out, this is tier 3. And you can put anything you want in between here. But we are going to need pillars that are going to need to be 1, 2 tall, just like this. So I'm going to build these out of gray wood for right now. And I'm actually going to strip these because I think they look just so nice stripped. So when these are stripped, we have this nice gray looking log now. And honestly, the black log looks really good as well. But with this all stripped, we can now put our caps in, and that will make it tier 3. And that is glowstone. So all of my glowstone that I've had saved up, we are going to need 4 of them. And I would assume this is one of the major reasons for actually unlocking glowstone. So that way, we now have ourselves a tier 3 altar. And so with that, it's now time for me to, well, start crafting higher tier runes. So now this is part of the pack that I think it basically hints at, but you have to have a full understanding, I think, of blood magic in order to really get the most out of this mod, and to also not need to really grind as much. This is pretty fundamental. Like, you have to do blood magic. It is going to be very difficult in order to get all the raw diamond you need if you're sitting here focusing on everything else and not actually upgrading this bad boy. So what I've done, I've got some speed runes, but the capacity runes are the big ones that I've got to get made. Because we really won't have a way of automating this till I think tier 4 of an altar, and the tier 4 requires caps that are made of a different material and require us to go to a different dimension. And I honestly have no idea how gated certain things like that are in this particular pack. Now, after a little bit of crafting, I now have completely overhauled this thing, and I am running with some runes of capacity. Now, this just requires 3 buckets and that high tier slate that I just ended up making. And now I have multiple filters that are dedicated for individual slate crafting. But the awesome part is to fill this up, all I have to do, and by the way, it now holds 50 buckets. It used to hold 10, so now it holds 50 buckets. We should be able to start filling this up and then get our coal processing. And that way we can just let it work a lot longer, so we don't have to come back here and babysit it as often. So let's grab some bone meal, since that is basically renewable blood at this point. And let's see, how much do we get from this? So we get 9. So I can just basically kill a few of these guys over this. And this whole thing will be filled in an instant. It is honestly kind of ridiculous how fast this fills. So with all that out of the way, I can now make mini coal a whole lot more efficiently. And now I have myself some coal. And what I should be able to do is basically exchange all of this, because we don't need this anymore right now. So I'm going to go ahead and take this out, and we are going to set this in place to be cooking up some coal. So with just wrapping that around, I'm gonna go ahead and lock the inputs and make sure to put it over here. And then that should start generating those diamond chunks that we're gonna need. And we're about to have some diamonds, baby. So now with our beautiful raw diamonds, that should now complete. It also gives us a few, which is really nice. I've already went ahead and crafted the fermenting station and the fluid sieving machine. And so we are on our way to actually getting our first diamond. Okay, so the way I'm going to set this up is we have a washing factory up here. I'm then going to send everything to the fermenting station, and then I'm going to have the bottom being the fluid sieve. So this is going to need sand, and I think I can go ahead and toss some of this over, and that should get us a bit of sand started up inside of our crusher here, and that is going to go into the catalyst slot that is down here. Okay, so that's nice. Now up top, what I should be able to automatically do is place this in, and then we need to go over here and grab our liquid meat drawer. And I think what I'm going to do to quickly fill this up as much as I can, actually, you know what? I might just leave it right here. But all I got to do is basically spawn some skeletons in, and we should be good there. So I'm going to place this on the side for right now. And what I want to tell it is on the meat section, I need this to pull. It's going to pull the meat in, and then that is going to generate our processed raw diamond. It's processing with meat, which is just kind of hilarious. Then that is apparently automatically going to get sent. Oh no, it needs to be pushed down. So we need to take our output and we need to push that into our next machine, which is this one right here. So this one I'm unfamiliar with. So we have our production ×2 ×3 ×4. Oh, it depends on our fluid catalyst. ×5 is ether gas. So we can actually send pink slime to this and we can ×4 our output. What? Oh, now that seems well worth it. And so all I have to do is place this drawer down here for right now. And of course, getting this automated later on is definitely the way to go. And we can use Applied Energistics, I think, to do that very easily. But we just need to make sure that our catalyst input is pulling in the pink slime. And so that should, let's see, seal when full, seal when half full, seal when there is 1 bucket. Oh, it has to have at least 1 bucket worth in order to even do the operation. That's interesting. So I should be able to get that 10 just by placing these in. Now those are going to finish processing up. And so I just need to make sure that the output here is getting pushed to the bottom. And so that should go into this machine, in which we should be able to place in some sand as our catalyst for this. And then that should give us pure diamonds. Oh, this is fantastic. I'm kind of excited. Okay, so that's sealed up. And so there the process goes. And so it is going to take a little bit of time to process using a little bit of power, but that is going to give us 4 times the amount. I was actually only expecting the maximum of 2, did not realize that. So now that I know that it can go all the way up to 5 times more processing with ether gas, oh, that is wild. Now with only a few seconds left, we should be able to see this get dropped into the next chamber. There it is. And now this is processing them all up. And there we go. We end up with some diamond dust. Now, I'm assuming that from this amount, we started with putting 10 in. And so with the 4 times, we turned that 10 into 40 diamonds, which is going to be needed because judging by our next chapters, it does look like we're going to need quite a few gears, which are 4 diamonds each. And well, each of these require 4 laser drills as a base minimum, I do believe. And so the diamond gear itself, that's just 4 of them alone for that one. And then this, I do believe, costs 2 diamond gears and also a diamond. So we're very close. I think we need like a total like 43 or something like that diamonds. So there's still a bit more I have to make, but now that we have our blood magic upgraded, oh, this whole process is so much easier. So let's go ahead and finish this up because we still have a couple of other tasks. We still have to sieve this in a tier 3 mesh or higher. And so I have just the spot for that. Off you go to be turned into fantastical diamonds. Oh, it's so beautiful. And we are ever closer to completing our chapters here now that we're getting into the real industry processing. Oh boy, I still feel like we're doing everything manual, so maybe we need to start getting into Applied Energistics a bit more. And now that we have diamonds, that does make that a bit more possible. And there we go. Fluid Sieving chapter done. Ah, it feels fantastic. So I think with all of the excitement from today, I am officially done. Well, done with today's episode, that is. And so with that, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. So be sure to click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And well, give this video a huge thumbs up. And with that being said, I think it's now time to thank the amazing supporter of today's episode. And that huge thanks is going to go out to Innocent Snipes. Thank you so much, by the way, for your amazing support by choosing to support me over on the Discord and becoming a Discord premium member and supporting me in one of the best ways possible. So be sure to check out the Discord if you haven't already. You don't have to become a member or anything like that to join. It's absolutely free to everyone. But if you want access to the supporter servers, it definitely is a supporter role and rank. So definitely check those out whenever you get over on the Discord. And well, with that, I thank you so very much. I'll see you in the next one. And as always, thanks for watching. Bye.